Welcome students back to my YouTube channel. Today probably I'll try to finish this chapter by today. If not by this lecture, if not I'll take one more lecture, but try to finish this chapter. Only the numericals will be left. Numericals, see, the thing is that I am not getting a good response from all the class 10 students. If many students happens to send me write in the comments that yes sir, I want you to do certain numericals specifying which questions, then only I will do. Otherwise I will leave it on you. If you have any doubts, I think you got my number, you can WhatsApp me and I will send you the solutions. But it depends. If you want a video on numericals, then you have to write in the comments. Otherwise today I will try to finish this lecture by today only. Now see, latent heat. Latent heat. So let's start this topic by this way. Till now we have learned a very important part, that during the phase change, during the change of state from liquid to gas or from solid to liquid or the opposite way, there is no change of temperature. So we know, as mentioned previously, during the change of phase, there is no change of temperature. There is no change of temperature. So as mentioned previously, during the change of phase, there is no change of temperature. So try to think then, where is the heat going? Where is the heat going? Means if I am giving this is a 100 degree centigrade water and I am giving heat, this delta sign represents heat. If I am giving heat to this water which is at 100 degree centigrade, it will change into steam, and that will be also at 100 degree centigrade. So see, I am providing heat, but that heat is not getting shown by any increase of temperature, which is very uncommon. If you happen to see normally to any substance, say to a water at 20 degree, if you are giving heat, if you give heat, then the 20 degree centigrade water will become 25 degree centigrade water. So as you give heat, there is a change of increase of temperature. Or if you take away heat, there is a decrease of temperature. The temperature falls. But during the change of state, you are providing the heat, you are giving heat, but the temperature is not rising. So that is why this heat is a hidden heat. This heat is hidden somewhere in the molecule, in the substance. The heat is getting hidden somewhere because that is not getting represented or shown or manifested in any kind of increase of temperature. So as the heat that we are providing, that is not getting shown in the temperature scale, that heat becomes a hidden heat or a latent heat. That is why it is called latent heat. Latent heat means what? Hidden heat. So the heat that we are supplying, is not shown by the rise of temperature, is not shown by the rise of temperature. So the heat that we are supplying, that is not shown by any rise of temperature. So the heat is getting hidden somewhere. So the heat is getting hidden, and hidden means what? Latent. Okay, that's a kind of that Greek word or some kind of a Latin word. That hidden in Latin word means latent. So that is getting hidden, and that is why it is called latent heat. Latent heat means what? Hidden heat. So the heat is getting hidden somewhere in the substance inside somewhere that we will come to know later on. But try to understand what is latent heat. Latent heat means hidden heat. So I think you understood this part. Now now so latent heat is the amount of heat that is given during the change of phase. So latent heat, what is the latent heat? It is the amount of heat given during the change of phase. Okay, latent heat is the amount of heat that we give not during normal rise of temperature, only during the change of phase from 20 to 25. That is not called latent heat. But from ice to water, the amount of heat that we're giving to change it from ice to water, that is called latent heat. So, but think, if we add the word specific, then what changes we are going to make in the definition side? Latent heat to understood. If you add the word specific, then what change will happen? So it is the amount of heat given during the change of phase by per unit mass. So when we add the word specific, we have to do it for unit mass, for 1 kg or 1 gram of a body. So per unit mass, that is, so specific, as we add the unit mass, per unit mass also get added in the definition side. So latent heat, so specific latent heat is represented by the letter L. So specific latent heat is represented by the letter 8, L. It is the amount of heat, that is the amount of heat absorbed or liberated. It is the amount of heat that is absorbed, either it is absorbed or liberated per unit mass. Per unit mass, as we are stating it, per unit mass, then we have to divide this amount of heat absorbed or liberated by mass, because then only the definition makes sense with this formula. Anything, okay, distance per unit time. Normally, what is the definition of speed? Speed is what? Distance per unit time. So when we say per unit time, we divide by time. Naturally, in the same way, if we say it is the amount of heat given, amount of heat absorbed or given per unit mass, so you have to divide by mass. Now every substance has its own value of latent heat, or every substance has its own specific latent heat. For example, the specific latent heat of ice is how much? It is 336 joule per gram. Means what? According to definition, if we take a 1 gram of ice, and that is getting converted to 1 gram of water, then the amount of heat that is supplied to the ice to change it to water is 336 joule. Okay, so if 1 gram of ice changes to 1 gram of water, the amount of heat that is supplied or given is 336 joule. So let's understand this thing in a more detailed way. So what we written, specific latent heat is among the, okay, writing it properly, latent heat is what? Amount of heat absorbed or liberated per unit mass. That is the definition. Now if we put the symbols, L, latent heat is represented by L, mass is represented by M, and amount of heat absorbed or liberated, that is represented by Q. So L is equal to Q by M. So from here, what is the value of Q? Q is equal to ml. Q is equal to m into L. Now think, as I told you in the previous definition, 1 gram of ice will take 336 joule of heat to convert. So what is the value of L for ice? L for ice is 336 joule per gram. Latent heat capacity for ice is 336 joule per gram. See, 1 gram of ice will consume 336 joule of heat. So put the value of L as 336 joule per gram. Okay, so 1 gram will take 336. Suppose I don't have 1 gram, suppose I have 5 grams. Suppose I have 5 grams. Then how much amount of heat will be required? If 1 takes 336, then 5 will take how much? 5 into 336. Simple concept. A simple unitary method you think in class 7 or class 6. If 1 gram of ice takes 336 joule of heat, then how much 5 gram of ice will take? 5 into 336. So that is how the definition came. You see m into L. So that if for 5 gram of ice, it will take 5 into 336. Okay. Value will come. I think the value will come 5 to 30, carry 0, carry 3, 18, carry 1, 1680 joule. Gram and gram will cancel, so only joule will be left. Joule. If we take 20 gram, 1 gram take 336. So 20 gram will take how much? 20 into 336. If we take 50 gram, that will take 50 into 336. So value of Q, formula for Q, amount of heat that is getting absorbed or liberated, is equal to m into L. M into L, mass into latent heat of ice. Latent heat of ice is fixed, 336 joule per gram. Remember this value. Remember this value, 336 joule per gram. So this value comes into play. Now already stated, but I am still trying to say, what is the SI unit? If I talk about the SI unit of L, L means what? Latent heat. Now think, what is the formula for L? It is Q by M. So what is Q represent? Heat. So what is the SI unit of heat? It is joule. And for mass, what is the SI unit? SI unit for mass is kg. So it will SI unit of L is joule per kg, or you can also write as joule kg to the power minus 1. This way also you can write. If you want in gram, then the same thing. Heat is represented by joule, but mass also can be represented by gram. So it becomes joule per gram. This is not the SI unit. SI unit is this. This is another unit. So this is my SI unit. SI unit is joule per kg. If you see, it has nothing to do with temperature. In this formula there is no temperature. Why there is no temperature? Because as per the definition, it is being told that the change of phase happens at constant temperature. So when temperature is not changing, so why should we put the temperature factor in our formula? We don't require it as per the formula, as per the definition, because the definition states the change of phase always happens at a constant temperature. So that is why there is no delta T anywhere in the formula. Okay, clear? Now the next thing. So for your exam ICC, you just have to know this value: latent heat of ice. Latent heat of ice. So 1 gram of ice will take 336 joule of heat. 1 gram of ice will take 336 joule of heat to convert into water. So how we will represent? So L value is 336 joule per gram. Okay, joule per gram. 1 gram will take 336 joule. But if we do for 1 kg, so 1 kg, what happens? To convert 1 gram into 1 kg, I will take what? 1000 gram, multiply by 1000. So if I take 1000 gram of ice, then it will consume how much of joule of heat? 336,000 joule of heat. Huh? So 1000 gram of ice will consume this much joule of heat. And this 1000 gram, can I also write as 1 kg? So 1 kg of ice will consume this much of heat. So latent heat in SI unit for ice becomes how much? 336,000 joule per kg. So 336 joule per gram, but if you want to convert that into kg, just multiply this value by 1000, because for gram to, from gram to kg, obviously you have to multiply by 1000. So this 336 becomes 3,36,000. So this part you have to know. Okay. Now the next topic. Why there is no, now let me write the question. Why there is no rise of temperature during change of state? Change of state. So when a body changes its state from ice to water or from water to steam, there is no change of temperature. See, melting always for water happens at 0 degree centigrade. Melting of water. And boiling of water happens at 0 degree centigrade. So during melting or during boiling, the temperature, this is 100 degree. So during melting or during boiling, the temperature remains to be 0 and 100 degree respectively. So there is no change of temperature during the change of state. Why? In the first class I taught you, molecules have two kinds of energy. And these two kinds of energy is known as internal energy. So internal energy is equal to kinetic energy plus potential energy. We happen to know this formula. Now, when we are giving the heat, that heat is getting utilized to increase the potential energy of the body, not the kinetic energy. Because if the kinetic energy changes, temperature will change. So I'm writing. So if kinetic energy changes, temperature will also change. So temperature depends on kinetic energy. Okay. But when we are giving the heat during the change of state, kinetic energy does not change. So during change of state, kinetic energy doesn't change. Kinetic energy of the molecule doesn't change. Then what changes? Potential energy changes. Potential energy of the molecules changes. Okay, potential energy of the molecules changes. Means what? If we give heat, previously there were two molecules at this distance. If we give heat, when heat is given, the molecules are like this. So the distance between the molecules happens to increase. So when heat is given, distance between the molecules increases. And when distance between the molecules increases, potential energy also increases. Understood? When distance between the molecules increases, at the same time potential energy increases. So as distance increases, potential energy increases. And we know to change the phase, just a second. So as we know that during the change of state, the energy that we are giving is not getting utilized to increase the potential energy, is only getting utilized to increase the the energy that we are giving is not getting utilized to increase the kinetic energy, but that energy is getting utilized to increase its potential energy, is getting utilized to increase its potential energy. So as we are giving heat, potential energy increases, and when potential energy increases means what, how the potential energy increases, the distance between the molecules increases. So as we give heat, the distance between the molecules increases. As the distance between the molecules increases, potential energy also increases on the other hand. And when the distance increase becomes too much, when the distance between the two molecules becomes too much, then suddenly the state of the substance changes. The state from the solid, it changes to liquid, and we have learned this in our very lower classes of class 5 6, that the intermolecular distance in solid is small and intermolecular distance in liquid is more than solids. So in solids the distance is like this, but as we give heat, the distance increases and the potential energy increases. When the distance between the molecules increases and the potential energy molecules also increases as we are providing heat. And at a when the distance between the two molecules becomes a certain amount of distance is between the two molecules have been there. So as this distance between two molecules is certain amount, then the this substance which was a solid state changes to liquid state. Okay, so where is the hidden heat is going? We have learned that in the starting of the lecture that the heat that we are giving is not getting utilized to increase the temperature, but right now we know that heat that we are giving, that is used to decrease the intermolecular force of attraction and to increase the intermolecular distances. Okay, intermolecular separation that increases, or intermolecular force of attraction that decreases. So that heat that we are giving, that is utilized to increase the intermolecular separation. So intermolecular separation between the two molecules increases, potential energy increases. So I hope you understood this part. Now next concept is the consequences of high specific latent heat of ice. So ice latent heat means the amount of heat that is required to change the ice to water is 336 joule per gram or 3,36,000 joule per kg. Now this value is not a very small value, this is a very high value. 1 gram requiring 336 joule, that's a very big value. Because of this, there are certain things which happens around us. Now I'm going to explain this thing. In the mountains, the mountain caps are filled with ice. Mountains are always filled with ice. The ice of the mountain, the ice that is there on the top of the mountain doesn't melt in one day. Okay, ice on the top of mountain doesn't melt in one day. it requires a lot of time to melt. Okay, it melts in 1 month or 2 months. Why? Because we know the only reason that the ice has a latent heat is equal to 336 joule per gram. Now on the top of mountain there is not 1 gram of ice, there are millions and millions and tons of ice. These millions and millions of tons of ice will require so much heat. If 1 kg requiring this much of heat, calculate it for say 10 lakh kg. For 10 lakh kg, then how much heat will be required? So that much of heat cannot be provided by the sun in one day. So that is why it requires lot of heat. So since it requires a lot of heat is required. That will eventually take more time. So more time is required. So if it takes more time, so obviously it will take 1 or 2 months to melt the whole volume of ice that is there on the top of the mountain. So because ice has a very high specific heat capacity. Think, if the specific heat of ice was not 336, suppose it was like 5 joule per gram, suppose this was the value, very small value, then what would have happened? All the ice would have melted within a short interval of time. Within 1 or 2 days, all the ice would have melted, and that would have created what? That would have resulted in the floods in the river, because so much water will be coming from the mountains, so that will result in flood. So that is why having this high value of latent heat of ice is very much advantageous, because the ice won't be melting in one day. So this is the reason. Now the second thing, I'm doing number 5th point first. During a hailstorm you understand, ice falling from the sky. So during a hailstorm, the surrounding becomes very cold. Why? Because so much ice is there on the ground. Okay, it's not 1 or 2, it's like kgs and kgs of ice are there on the ground, and to melt that much of ice, lot of heat is required. And where the heat will be getting, the ice will be getting the heat, ice will be taking the heat from the surrounding. So if it takes heat from the surrounding, if the ice takes heat from the surrounding, then what happens? The surrounding will become cold. So after the hailstorm, surrounding becomes cold. Why? Because ice absorbs heat from the surrounding. How much heat it absorbs? Like 1 gram of ice will take 336 joule of heat to melt. Ice, 1 gram of ice will take 336 joule of heat to melt. So there are near about kgs and kgs of ice. More than 1000, 2000 or 10,000 kgs of ice. So for 10,000 kgs of ice, how much heat will be required? A lot. And that heat will be absorbed from where? From the surrounding. So ice, 1 gram of ice takes 336 joule of heat to melt, and this heat is taken from the surrounding. So surrounding supplies that amount of heat, and if the surrounding gives the heat, then what happens? The surrounding becomes cold. So that is why the surrounding becomes very cold. Next point. Now, there are 2 points I am doing in one step. Suppose there is a lake. There is a lake. This lake is water. Right now, this lake is in the water stage. Now, as the winter will come, what will happen? All the all the water will convert into ice. So during the winter, all the water converts into ice. For the water to convert into ice, then what will happen? It will release heat or it will absorb heat. Think, if the water is converting into ice, then what will happen? It will release heat or absorb heat? Definitely it will be releasing heat. Ice to water, it will not be absorbing heat. To ice to change from water, it will be releasing heat. And if it releases heat, then what will happen? The surrounding will become hot. So the surrounding or the environment or the surrounding becomes hot. Clear? Also, this lake will not be frozen in one night. You won't see that the lake is getting frozen, because there is a large quantity of water, nearly tons and tons of kgs of water. Now we know 1 gram of water, 1 gram of water to convert into 1 gram of ice, how much heat it will release? 336 minus. Okay, minus indicates what? Releasing. If 1 gram of water converts to 1 gram of ice, it will release minus 336 joule of heat. Now there are not 1 gram of water, there are nearly tons and tons of water. So that will releasing so much amount of heat, and that amount of heat will take lot of time. It will take certain amount of time to release this much of heat, and that is why the lake will not be frozen in one night. It will take time. Also, as the lake gets frozen, first the top surface layer gets frozen. Only the surface layer gets frozen, and we know once it becomes ice is a very poor conductor of heat. So whatever heat is there, that will not be going out. So the lake gets frozen very slowly, because it has to release a large amount of heat, and this large amount of heat won't be released in one single day. Now think opposite way. During the summers, what will happen? This ice will be changing back to water. So during the summer, ice will be changing back to water. Now if ice changes to water, what will happen? It will absorb heat or it will release heat? It will absorb heat. So when the summer comes, all this frozen lake changes to water, and that time it will absorb heat. And once it absorbs heat, and it will absorb heat from where? From the surrounding only. So as it absorbs heat from the surrounding becomes cold. Okay, so as the frozen lake changes to water, it will absorb heat from the surrounding. As a result, the surrounding will become cold. So you can this is the concept regarding this. Now last thing, which is also quite easy. Before I state the last part, you have to know the one concept. Now think, if I have a ice which is at 0 degrees centigrade and that mass is 1 gram, and I want the ice to convert into water into 0 degrees centigrade only, how much heat it should release? It should release 336 joule. But the same 0 degrees centigrade water, changing into 1 degree water, how much heat it should release? 4.2 joule. So this thing is taught in the previous lecture. 4.2 joule. So you can see, if there is a drink and this drink is hot, if I want to make it cold, what is better? To put cold water? Option A, cold water, or option B, ice. Which is a better option to cool it? Should I put a cold water or should I put ice? The answer should be always ice, because once you put a piece of ice, that ice will melt, and when the ice melts, it will consume 336 joule of heat from this water. So the ice will consume 336 joule from the water. So as a result, the water, if it is absorbing heat from the water, what happens? The water becomes cold, or sorry, not the water becomes cold, the drink becomes cold faster and more effective also. So because if you put ice, that ice has a capacity to absorb more heat, 336 joule, but cold water will only absorb 4.2 joule. So where is 336 and water only 4.2 joule. So that is why it is better to put ice in your drink, because that can absorb more heat from the drink. But cold water will absorb heat but very less, 4.2 joule. So the cold water will not make the drink cold effectively, whereas the ice will make the drink cold quite faster and in a better way. So that is what the last point is about of this chapter, that it's better to put ice in the drink to make it colder rather than to put cold water, because ice can absorb more heat. So this was all about the theory part of the chapter. So I hope you see all the videos from first to last. If you are in middle, say, I understand from your point of view also that you have a lot of things to study other than physics. You have maths, chemistry, history, geography, all these things. So, but these videos will be there. So if you haven't watched it now, later on when you will have time, do watch all the videos and your concept regarding this chapter will be clarified. And I told you about the numericals. If I get the request from many students that they want the numericals to be done of the second part, then I will definitely make one video about the numericals. But if I'm not getting so many requests, like they are not watching, so I think then you can do it by yourself. So anyways, the theory part of the chapter I have taught you. Okay, all the best, take care, bye, see you later next time.